And so we are in with the Agony review and just, well, my overall thoughts and feelings on it. Was it the hellish, grotesque, blood-fueled nightmare that was promised through a lot of the advertisements that it portrayed up to and over a year ago? Or was it quite simply agony? And in truth, I'd actually like to basically start by saying I feel this game has basically become a victim of its own ambition, of its own hype generated by it when this game was first shown to the world through the advertisements and some of the trailers that came out. The overall grotesque environments and its jaw-droppingly detailed, almost tapestries of just blood, guts, gore. Just it for every horror fan going, and we wanted it, we loved it. It looked absolutely amazing. The hype was there. A lot of people backed it through Kickstarter. Just so many people were up for this game and wanting this game, and then when it was released, it wasn't all it was cracked up to be and what we were hoping and what we needed in a stealth horror survival game-ish-esque. What ended up happening was, well, for a start, if you've watched my playthrough, the game is by far too fucking dark. And by too fucking dark, I mean you might as well actually play with your monitor off. The gamma setting you have is not enough. You're basically going to have to whack that on max just to help you. And even in the recordings, so that I had to upload it, I then had to post-edit it to actually bring the brightness up max in all of the settings as well. So that should just give you a glimpse in just how dark this game actually is. Then there's moving on to the mechanics, which is, they're a bit monotonous, to be honest, and at times they can be downright aggravating. You're basically scurrying through a load of mazes trying to find body parts to put somewhere on something, in a bowl, or you're generally hiding from demons and holding your breath, and you occasionally set fire to a door which will then set fire to you, and you start looking for weird dodgy symbols that don't always work when you put them on the correct tablet, and the entire mess just repeats itself over and over and over again, until you eventually realise that you don't actually need to crouch and hide and hold your breath. You can basically just run for it, and this just shortens your game down a lot, removes a lot of the excitement and the thrill, and it's just like, oh, I can just run through the game. Cheers, easy. Graphically, it's a bit odd through cutscenes, particularly the actual scenery and the structures. It does look pretty darn good. It looks actually really, really beautiful if you're into your horror, sex, gore, violence, genitals and impalement. It's actually really quite interesting to look at, shall we say. Perhaps not overall the best graphics. You're not going to have like Agony nominated for the best graphics of the century ever. It's enough to be accepted among some of the more irate PC enthusiasts. I want the best graphics going. Look at me, I'm so hardcore on my $10,000 machine. Don't care. They're good enough, they work, they look the part. The problem I then have is some of the models of the NPCs, you yourself, they, particularly with some of the babies in their heads, the overall facial structure of some of the beings, all of them from demon to people you can communicate with, the only ones that really seem to actually sort of stand out and actually look half decent as an actual facial structure is the Red Goddess, who is like the main antagonist, and her little demon creature succubi things. They're like the only ones that actually seem to have like a decent-ish model. The rest of them are just sort of half of them look like they've actually been made out of like paper mache or cardboard. It's sort of unenticing, to be perfectly honest. Gameplay wise as well, there didn't really seem to be actually a lot to do. I mean, I've hinted already, the actual idea of the game is to sneak your way through hell to find the Red Goddess. But you eventually just get to a point of where you realise you don't need to sneak, you can just run. And running makes it so much easier as well. And it's also slightly more entertaining, and you actually just get through the game faster, because after a while just sneaking and sneaking and sneaking around possibly the most retarded AI I have ever seen for your so-called enemies. Oh my god, like seriously, there's no pattern, there's no logical sense to the way that they behave. They are just absolutely batshit crazy of an AI. It's honest, they're probably the most painful thing I've actually ever come across. I can't just that it is honestly that bad. There are some interesting glitches or slash bugs with it as well, particularly if you die near any form of plant life. Your soul or whatever that escapes your body is trapped in the plant life, so just, you know, restart from checkpoint, because you're going to get nowhere after that. You're just going to have to wait to die, if potentially you do die, because I've had it a few times where if you're stuck in the plant life you don't die, which was also really annoying. Speaking of annoying, limited enemy choices or designs. There's like Onesculus or something, which is basically the demon priestess thing that you see on the intro to pretty much every Agony video I've got. That's called the Onesculus or something like that. You've got the Succubus, which is basically the Red Goddess's slut. There's a big red thing which you can possess, and these come in two sizes. There's one that's approximately 8 feet tall, and then there's another one that's approximately 30 feet tall. You then got weird shadow spiders, you've got flopping balls of corpses, and then there's like weird snake things, and that's pretty much it. Of actual relevance for you to actually play against, you've got the Onesculus, the Succubus, and the thing that comes in 8 feet or 30 feet, and are really boring because they just sort of slap things, and after a while you can possess them anyway, and just this seems to just near enough negate a lot of the gameplay, which is a bit odd, really. Now, as much as I am griping on and not exactly being this game's biggest fan, or as it would sound, I'm not anyway, I honestly did actually really enjoy this game. It was quite unique for what it was trying to do. I kind of feel like something like Alien Isolation, which is another stealth survival horror, which you got to sneak through and get to the objective, has possibly ruined this game, because Alien Isolation was done superbly, and I do mean superbly well. I think maybe this game has fallen behind that curve just a little bit, so I can't really blame it too much for that one. However, there are a few things in this game that are a bit off and should definitely be rectified in some form of patch. One thing I would like to see come back up is the changes before it had to get released, even if it has to be in like a $1 DLC to get all the explicit content that was removed put back in. $1 DLC, whatever, give it to me. We'll have a bit more of an entertaining time with some of the more interesting features, shall we say, of the game. I do feel that should definitely be put back in. I kind of also feel that the game could possibly do with a few bonus levels, a few more DLC. Hell, add a Battle Royale mode, for crying out loud. Every other fucker's doing it, why not? The game definitely does have potential. I do feel it was a bit rushed, and it has definitely become a victim of its own hype. That's not to say that there aren't problems with it. There are definitely problems with it, but they're not the worst thing in the world. There does need to be some serious brightness settings and some lighting adjustments still. I believe they've already released a few patches to actually do some lighting adjustments, but they still need to come. I'm sorry, the game is very dark still, or even a few colourblind settings for some people that are colourblind, hint me. You know, something else would be definitely appreciative. For the moment, I'd only really be able to give this game a 4 out of 10, but I would honestly love to see something more happen with it, something come from this, a bit more development, a bit of DLC. I would say the DLC should be free, because a lot of people have backed this game and a lot of people have bought into this game, and a lot of people have been thoroughly disappointed. I myself, at this point, I'm not too fussed, because I did enjoy it. There were times where I was absolutely infuriated with it. Level design, I think, is a big one that does need to get looked at, because you could literally go from point where you started to where you ended, and there'd be like a plethora of map for you to wade through as well, which literally served no purpose. There were a few collectibles. One of the most memorable ones for me was the frozen land area. It literally took me about 5 minutes to go from where I started that level to where I needed to end that level, but the overall level area itself was absolutely huge and generally served no purpose, and if anything it was just downright infuriating just trying to move around and see what else this overall level had to offer. Despite some confusing layouts in some of the missions or levels, and by confusing I mean you would start the level, you would head forward down the main corridor, turn left, and oh, you're at your destination. However, if you went right, there would be an entire labyrinth for you to explore for some bizarre reason. But there would be, the only purpose of doing so would be collectibles, which again didn't really seem to serve much purpose. You could get weird vagina fruit, I don't know what else to call them, vagina apples, vagina fruit, fruit of her loins. Yeah, it was an apple with a vagina in it, basically. And that would give you a skill point for you to spend on things that didn't really need to be a thing, quite simply because you get the automatic power up of being able to possess some of the demons anyway. So the rest of it was just sort of like unneeded and didn't really need to happen. A lot of the death sequences were far too long and really annoying as well. It's just like, I want to die, hurry up. You know, this was another thing that didn't really need to be done. But overall, like, in all seriousness, despite the fact that I'm still finding faults with the game, I'm still actually quite playing the game, to be honest. Once you've completed it, you unlock the Succubus Mode, and you basically play through as one of the succubus, and it's a lot more entertaining. It's a bit more fun. You play through the game a lot quicker, obviously, but it's actually quite a bit of a laugh, to be perfectly honest. It's a bit more enjoyable than actually playing it through on your first time round, particularly if you actually remember where some of the ways you need to go are. Some of the animations as well, as you probably just saw, and which has also just reminded me of some of the animations, they are fucking grotesque, and I don't mean grotesque in the terms of this game wanting to be this gore-infested marvel, I mean grotesque, in the fact that they are fucking god awful. Especially if you watched the final cutscenes of this game. I'm assuming it's meant to be Satan, or the Beast, as the Great Beast as he is described. The fight between the movements, the animations, oh no, can't do it. Won't have that flashback. Won't have that nightmare. It's one of the reasons I even called that video Awkward Endings, because just watching it and actually having to try and sit there and not vomit was hell. But seriously, this game probably worth about a tenner, I reckon, to be perfectly honest. If it's on sale on Steam, go for it, give it a bit of a shot. It's not as bad as what I am making it out to be, or what a lot of people are making this game out to be. It's dark. That is going to be your number one friggin' problem. It's bloody dark. If you're not interested in buying it or actually even playing this game, do feel free to just watch the playthrough. I'll link my playthrough in the description below, or find someone else who is doing a playthrough. It's an interesting game to watch, and I'm pretty sure if you did watch it, you will certainly notice a few of the faults and some of the really dodgy made mechanics. I mean, for example, as you just saw there, I'm meant to be sneaking around, but the demon saw me and all I did was just run for it. Oh, and look, I can now save the game. These are things that, for a game that you're meant to sneak through and try and survive and escape hell, it's not something that you should really be doing. It's a bit shouldn't be happening. But yeah, I would happily give this game a 4 out of 10. I would love to see some future DLC for it. A few extra modes, maybe a bit of a graphic update I can see being kind of wanted. I think the environments are alright, but a lot of the models for the NPCs, particularly your character, they are needing some serious updates. Oh, saying that, just remembered, massive plus for me. I generally do not like first person games. The field of view is wrong in all first person games, because you quite simply cannot give an accurate field of view. 2, one of the things I've always friggin' hated is in a first person games, and I really hated Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 for this, particularly in that scene in the car. You get into the car, you look down to the well of the car, you literally have no lower body or even legs. In Agony, you've got the lot. You actually have legs. This is absolutely amazing. Even in Alien vs Predator, the Sega game, when that came out, and Colonial Marines when that came out, so a lot of people didn't really like these games, but I can guarantee you I loved them, simply because when you looked down, you had your sexy predator legs, or your kinky alien legs, or your armoured human legs, or whatever you really wanted to go with. But you had legs, which not a lot of first-person shooters do, and I can tell you now that I couldn't care if it's the best first-person shooter in the game, in the world. If I could not look down and see my fucking legs, I fucking hate it. So, for me, a massive pro point. Well done. Well bloody done to the dev team of Agony for actually adding in legs. Like, seriously, massive well done. Anyway, I'm going to cut this here. I am sorry for the weird and dodgy review. It's been a bit all over the place, but this game does spark a lot of emotions and reactions that shouldn't really be happening, but I enjoyed it. I liked the game. I would happily spend that money again to buy this game, and I do look forward to some DLC. Please bring out some decent DLC. First one should be free, then I'll think about paying for it. In the meantime, I'll catch you guys later. Have fun and enjoy hell. Mwahaha.